All right. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds here to let people get connected to the audio, get logged in. All right. See some folks getting logged in here and joining us this morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever it is you're joining us from. All right, so just while we're letting everybody get connected to audio and get logged in here, if you want to find that Q&A section and give us a little welcome and let us know you're here and where you're joining us from, that would be awesome. And we'll give everybody about a minute or so to get in and get connected. Hi, Lisa from Phoenix. Good to see you. Some people are being shy, not letting us know where they're calling in from. Hi, Dawn from Forney, Texas. Shout out to a fellow Texan there. All right, so what I would like to do is welcome you guys to this partner exclusive training webinar. And what we figured out and what we saw was that you guys are eager and willing to learn more about the background of marketing, and specifically this series, or this edition of the series, is focused on content marketing. And I know some of you are new here on the line with us. Some of you have been with us for a while and got to attend the last content marketing webinar where we spoke more specifically about Belize. This one is going to be about Nicaragua and how to promote and market Nicaragua. It's a little bit different than marketing Belize or, let's say, Panama, because it's truly not as popular with tourism as these other countries are. So we're going to give you some insights on what good content marketing looks like and how you can use that to your advantage. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my video on here for just a second. It's been a bit windy today, so I am a little windblown, but I'll say hello to everybody on the line with us today. I am Ali Rodriguez, your International Referral Network Director. You've all been in contact with me at some point about receiving some materials and getting campaigns from us for you to use specifically on your platform. So glad to have you here with us today. Those of you that weren't able to make this session live, hello to you too as well once you're able to review the recording. And of course, with me is my colleague and friend, Ivan Levy. He is our marketing guru, and he is going to be sharing these tips and tricks with you. So anything you wanted to say there, Ivan?
Just thank you, everybody, and welcome to this second portion of the content marketing training series. Very excited to be here with everybody. Very excited to be able to show yet another session or host another session here where we talk about content marketing. This is the stuff that excites me. I hope it excites you as well. And I'm excited to see what great work you continue to do, because I've already seen some great material being sent out from a lot of our partners. So very excited to see what the next stage brings for us here and focusing on Nicaragua. And like Ali mentioned, Nicaragua does have a little bit of a bad rap, online and in the media. So it is a little bit of a different strategy that you'd have to go about when promoting this destination. But don't worry, we're here for you. We have all the material that you'll need. We have information to help you as well. So yeah, very excited to get started on this session. And actually what I'll do, I just wanted to put my video on to say hello to everybody, but I'll go ahead and turn it off at this point. You guys don't need to see my ugly mug. We'll just focus on the presentation at this point. So let me go ahead and turn that off, and then we can go ahead and get started. All right, so discussion topics for today, everybody. We're gonna do a recap of our previous session. For those of you that weren't able to join us, we're just going to go through just a few tidbits of what was discussed previously, and then that also will help refresh, the information in your mind. So as we're going through the material, it's not, something very foreign to everybody. We're all on the same page. If at any point I am going a little too fast, or if you have any questions, where that Q&A section is, type your questions in there, and we'll be happy to get those answered for you. The second portion of today's presentation will go over the different forms of content. That's another one that we did cover in the previous session, but we now have some examples that we want to show you guys. And especially since, as we mentioned, we are focusing on Nicaragua today, we have a lot of exciting material to share with you. That is the Gran Pacifica property that we have there just has so much to offer. It's just, it's a one-stop shop of opportunities there. And so we're going to go over the different forms of content, why it's important to have it formatted specifically for each platform, for each distribution channel, and what all of that looks like. Next, we're going to go over the steps of creating your first campaign. I know for some of you guys, this probably isn't new. You guys are way ahead of me on a lot of the work we're doing, but it's still nice to go back to the basics, make sure that we're all doing what is correct, what is effective, and what ultimately will result in more conversions for us. And then lastly, you guys heard me on the last webinar, for those of you that joined, metrics are king, and we're going to go over why, looking over your analytics, looking over the metrics, looking over what worked, what didn't work, and then optimizing for future campaigns is super important. And with that, let me go ahead and get started here. So as I mentioned, we're going to do a little recap to refresh your memory. Any questions that anybody has about anything that I'm discussing, just shoot that message right into the Q&A section. All right, and so content marketing, we discussed this last time. Content marketing is a strategic marketing approach, and you're focusing that on distributing. This is the part that I always stop right here, because it's very important. Valuable, relevant, and consistent content. You need to make sure that the content you're producing has value to your readers, to your viewers, to your subscribers. You need to make sure it's relevant. They came here looking for this information. You are providing the information. And consistent. You need to be consistent. You're trying to build trust with the people that you are reaching out to. And it's super important that you are consistent in that production of your content. You cannot just start and stop and expect that the wheels will keep turning. It is a lot of work, especially at the beginning. It is a bit of a slow process, but that consistency is what is going to keep you on top of everyone's mind. So it is content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience. Again, another very important point. As much as we think we want to, cast as wide a net as possible, that is great. And that is not a bad strategy at all. I am not dissuading you from doing that. But when you are working specifically on funneling people into a specific product or a specific service that you're promoting, it is very important that you have a clearly defined audience. You do not want to be sending material to people that didn't ask for it, are not interested in the topic, and ultimately will probably not convert. That's just going to make your content not work for you. And the goal here is to ultimately drive a profitable customer action, whether that is having them subscribe to your newsletter, whether that is having them follow you on social media, whatever the case may be. There's always a reason for why you want to make sure you're following all of these steps. Have valuable, relevant, and consistent content that's being sent out to a clearly defined audience. And now we have some metrics here. 43% of videos on social media come from users that are sharing what they see. It's important that we're on social media. It's important that we are touching base with people on there. If that is a platform that you're seeing, you get a lot of conversions from. As you can see there, there's almost half of the people that are sharing videos on there, it's things that they see. So your brand is super important. It needs to be prominent out there so that people are able to be promoting you without you even asking, right? That's just free advertising for you right there. 90% of consumers prefer custom content. This is also very, very important to keep in mind. You do not want to be using some form of material that your neighbor or your competitor especially is using as well. You want to customize the content specifically for the people that are in your audience. So always drop in your name in there. Always make sure that you are addressing your followers, subscribers, your email readers. You're addressing them directly. Make them feel special. We went over this in our sales call today, and apologies if I butcher the correct saying there, but we talked about how people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And I don't know if that is the exact phrase there, but it is important to keep in mind. People really, really want to feel special. They want to know that you care about them. So producing that custom content is the way to go with that. And here we have some more metrics, and just under 50% of shoppers do online research before making a gift purchase. You know, we can all look at ourselves and think about that. Don't we do our online research before we commit to traveling? You know, when you go to stay to a hotel, you look at the reviews, you look at, you know, the photos. Whenever you're going to buy that special gift for someone, you want to check and see same thing, the reviews. Did previous buyers enjoy this product? Were there any complaints? So being online and being present online is very important there for you to make sure that your content is working for you. And just under 90% of users report a higher recollection of branded content. Your logo, your colors need to be consistently distributed throughout the material that you're producing. You want people to remember you just from the color, just from the slogan, just from your logos. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be prominent, but not overwhelming, right? We don't want to scare people off. You know, and for example, us, ECI development, we're not going to have our logo just huge, you know, just played really hugely on any one image. That takes away from the emotion that we're trying to evoke in any particular piece of material. And so, but you do still want to make sure that it is prominently displayed so that people can remember you. All right, and so last time we had a little game here, and I'm going to invite everybody to join in on this one. So touching base on what I discussed just now, the brand is super important. Last time I had an image here, it was a red image with a little white swash at the bottom, and I asked everybody who the owner of that color brand or that brand color is, if they could let me know what business that is. We have another example here from this green box. I want to see who can guess what business I am referencing here with this green box. Go ahead and type in your thoughts into the Q&A section, and let's see who's able to get it right. So where have you seen a similar green color like this one? I see Dawn has here no earthly idea. That's okay, Dawn. I have some more examples for you. Okay, all right.
Stumped.
So
All
yep,
right,
Lisa's
we're
stumped as well. Okay. Let me go over to the next slide. Maybe this helps.
Something
Oh,
Irish.
Emily,
Oh.
maybe.
I think that's supposed to be H&R block, maybe from George.
All right. Let's go to the next slide and let's see if everybody can get a better idea. How about now? Can anyone guess which brand this is? Oh, there we go. We have some good guesses. We're getting some good guesses in. All right, there we go. That's right. Everybody got it. All right. So I'm gonna flip over, and you guys got it right. It is Starbucks. Now, see, this is again another example. The color by itself might not have worked, right? That green, maybe we've seen it in just too many different pieces of advertising. Maybe it just wasn't prominent enough, right? But when you associate that color now with a specific product, oops, fireworks went off, right? Everybody knew Starbucks, it's coffee. And so that's again another way that you can learn about the strategy that international brands use. You may not have been able to recognize just the brand from the color by itself, but I assure you, if you had seen a hat that had that color and maybe this little mermaid symbol at the top, yup, perfect. Or, yep, Carolyn, exactly. A green circle might have worked even better, right? Exactly. A different layout, you may have instantly recognized it. But again, the power of the brand there was just in the color, and that's helpful. And now I do want to present here just the importance of the brand again. Take a look at what Starbucks has done just over the past few decades. They haven't really moved too far from their original concept, but you can see that the logo has undergone a lot of changes over time. They have remained consistent though with the messaging. It is Starbucks coffee. We sell coffee, and the logo of the mermaid has remained pretty consistent for the era that it is being produced in, right? You can tell that the early 1970s, that looks like a logo from the 70s, whereas up into the 80s, 90s, you can tell it's being more modernized, it is being crafted for the current audience. And so this is, again, a beautiful example of brand evolution, and also the consistency, maintaining that messaging, that subliminal messaging in your brand right there. Notice way at the end here, they no longer even say Starbucks coffee. You can recognize just the mermaid, just the color, and you know that that is Starbucks. And again, beautiful example of the power of the brand there. All right, and so continuing on with the recap. So as we discussed last time, content marketing focuses on the creation and distribution of that relevant and valuable content that we discussed, but it has a lot of different components to it. So SEO, that stands for search engine optimization, is a very important one. If you are promoting a lot of the, if you're promoting a lot on your website, right? If you want your website to be that main performer for you, that's bringing in leads, bringing in inquiries, search engine optimization is super important. That's going to make sure that you're ranking for those relevant keywords. So if you want a specific page of yours to rank for real estate in Nicaragua, if you wanted to reference specifically San Diego Viejo, if you want to talk about Azuchio Beach specifically, you need to make sure you're adding in those keywords in there, into any piece of material that you're adding to your website. The text, the images also should have some alt text in there that reference those keywords. Again, we can have a whole session over search engine optimization, but it is very, very, very important to make sure that your website is optimized. And then the other portions there about your digital marketing that you want to make sure are being covered is social media. Like I said, very important to be on the top of everyone's mind. And we all have our smartphones. We all walk around, and I'm sure we all fall asleep to our smartphones next to our beds, right? We're scrolling up until the late hours of the night, early hours of the morning. You know, we're all always consuming content. And social media is just a perfect way to make sure that your content is being distributed to as wide an audience as possible. Now, you may find a lot more competition on social media just because it's so commonly used, but that should not dissuade you at all from using it. It is a very important tool to have in your arsenal. And PPC, that stands for pay-per-click advertising. And we see that all the time. Whenever you search in Google for a specific brand or a company that you're searching for, and you see right next to the name, it says ad right there on the left-hand side of it, that is a pay-per-click advertisement that someone, whatever business you're searching, they're paying Google or they're paying search engines to rank for that phrase that you typed in. You know, maybe you are typing in tiny homes by ECI, right? And you'll see this page that pops up and it has a little ad there on the left hand side. That means that it was an advertisement that we are partnering with Google to make sure that anyone who searches for it, we're ranking at the top for that. Now, I did touch on this in the previous session. Pay-per-click and SEO go hand in hand a little bit. When you're first starting off, when you're first getting your website out there and your brand out there, you do want to make sure you're allocating just a little bit of your funds towards some pay-per-click advertisement, because really and truly, you're a starting brand. You want to get eyes on your website, and the best way to do that is through pay-per-click advertising. Now, as you begin to gain more recognition, as you gain traction with your advertising, you do want to scale that back a little bit and make sure that your SEO is doing its job. The point of search engine optimization is that you rank organically, as in you do not need to be paying anybody. People are just finding your website because they find the information there helpful. That sends metrics back to Google to say, hey, this website has information that people want to see. Let's show it to more people. In a nutshell, that's basically how the algorithms work. If you have relevant content that people are engaging with, search engines find out about that. They can see how people are crawling your website and engaging with you. The longer they spend on there, and the more they engage with you, that's just going to help you rank even higher. But like I said, pay-per-click, SEO, any one of these topics, we could do a whole session on them, and we probably should. So we'll probably get that added to the docket there at some point. And then lastly is analytics. We're going to go into detail about this section specifically because, like I said, it is super, super, super important to make sure that you are taking a look at what worked, what didn't work, and how you can improve for the next time. And your analytics, your metrics are going to give you that exact information. And then lastly, why content marketing, right? You all are registering for this presentation because you want to learn more about it, but why content marketing? If you want more details specifically on this topic, like I said, we did go into very, very deep detail, a deep dive into these in the previous session, so you can request the recording, but I do just want to go over them just a little bit here. So risk mitigation, as I mentioned, that the consistency, having relevant content, that's going to build trust. So you are mitigating your risk of not performing well on any campaigns. You're really making sure that your brand is out there. So the risk of losing a potential lead or sale gets lowered once you are promoting yourself properly using content marketing. Lead generation, like I said, said, the producing content and distributing that on multiple platforms is going to create funnels for you to generate leads from different platforms, and they drive to your website, your landing page, whatever the case may be. So that is another reason why content marketing works. And then lead nurturing. This is also very important. In the previous session, we did talk about making sure that the content is also educational. You know, people that are, you know, we all want to live and work and just experience life in another beautiful country, right? But where do we even start? And that's oftentimes where people are stumped, right? They're like, well, I want to live in Nicaragua. I want to live by the beach. How do I do that? And so content marketing can also serve as lead nurturing. You produce content that is educational. It's not promotional at all. It is just informational pieces that you're going to be providing to the people that you serve, to give them, you know, to build that trust and for them to know that you are knowledgeable in what you're talking about. You are the go-to person for them on this specific topic. And then lastly here is lead scoring. This is good for metrics specifically. This will tell you again what your content is doing, how it's performing, why it is performing the way it is, why it's not, etc. So very, very important pieces here to keep in mind. But enough about that. We're going to get to the reasons why everybody is here. And it is presenting the content marketing strategies that are going to work, focusing specifically on Nicaragua. And with that, I'm going to ask Ali to jump back in here and talk to you guys a little bit about the forms of content. This is a super important topic, again, because for those of you that do join us on our monthly webinars every first Tuesday of the month, we always present the strategy that worked for the previous month and the material that we produced in the previous month. And so Ali's going to go over some of the examples there and why it is important to make sure that the material you're putting out there, the content that you're putting out there, is formatted for the right platform. So Ali, go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Ivan. You gave us some great information to kind of get our brain, thoughts flowing here. And what I want to do is just take about 30 seconds. And I want you folks that are on the line with us right now to think about what your primary vehicle or your primary method of communication with your clients. What is that? Is it email marketing? Is it social media? Is it, if you want to get specific and say a specific platform like Facebook or Instagram, go ahead and type that into the Q&A section. And then I want you to rank the amount of interaction that you think you have with that. How successful is that marketing for you right now on what you're doing? So if it's social media, put social media and then put a number. How effective do you think your current marketing is going? So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to type that into the Q&A section, and we'll give everybody a few seconds. But while you're doing that, I want you to think about Nicaragua specifically. And we were able to promote the Discovery Tour that was there last month. It's been about a month ago now. Some of you actually were participants in that Discovery Tour, whether it was boots on the ground or the virtual component. But so we're going to kind of talk about that and teach you and show you how to integrate that into what you're doing. So we have some varied answers here. Social media is about 50% of the responses here. And so in email marketing, newsletters. All right, so there's a good mix of responses here. And some of what I'm seeing is that you don't know how to track, you don't know how to nurture those interests that initially come in. And so what's going to be great in this webinar is Ivan is going to give you some ways to further nurture those, bring them through the funnel, and have them come out on the other end of either being a happy client and a happy person in Nicaragua, or maybe, they end up somewhere else in the world. All right, so go ahead, Ivan, on to the next slide there. So web page and email assets. Those of you that do email marketing, think about that. We've talked to you it's specifically about email marketing in a previous webinar. And if you weren't with us for that and you would like a copy of that recording, we'd be happy to send that to you. We talked about how to segment and categorize all of your leads and your contacts so that what you're providing to them is relevant to what their desires are. What are they reaching for? What is their goal? So if you'll notice, these banners are more horizontal. They are, they run side to side rather than up and down. And the reason for that is these are specifically designed for web pages and emails. So you'll see that each one of these designs is a little bit differently. You can see the background there is Bitcoin. That's a very small hint about that Bitcoin is being offered, but it gives you a good idea of what it is you're promoting without giving all the information away. So you'll see the top left talks about the tiny homes at Ava in the Ava community, and it gives you the starting price. But then it's a teaser about, do those attract my eye? Do I want to know more about that? Is that something I'm even interested in? And then to the right is basically the complete opposite of what was on the tiny home banner. You're talking about a sprawling oceanfront luxury home. So there's these different ways that you can communicate information to your clients without really just blasting all the information to them. And if they love it and they want to know more information, chances are they're going to at least click on the banner. And hopefully you have your custom landing page embedded in that banner to take them to get a little bit more information. And then from there, if they decide that they want to be in touch with somebody, then they're able to do that. But essentially what you've done is you've identified the desires of this person, the interest of this person, without having to be intrusive and sell them something. These aren't really salesy type banners. They're a feeling. I bet that looking at these images evoked a feeling in you from the minute that you saw them, whether it was the waves over here at Las Perlas, or maybe it was the nice greenery in the teak banner or the Ava banner. So just think about that when you're using these assets, how to best communicate that feeling or that ideal without being pushy or salesy. Thank you. So now we go to social media assets. Like I said, the email and the web banners are landscape formatted, right? So social media assets are typically the square ratios, and they can be used in emails and websites, but typically these are the best options for social media. And again, the same information, just reformatted to look what is best for the platform that you're using it on. You'll notice that the fonts are different. You'll notice that the size, the pitch size of the different aspects of on the banners, for example, the headers, the pricing, the name of the community, all of those are a little bit different, and your eye gets drawn to those different elements depending on what it is that you are trying to portray to the people that are viewing them. All right, and then digital media assets. This will be fun. This is a brand new, hot off the presses video that we have been working on, and it is about Nicaragua. So go ahead and press play there, Ivan. Awesome. So real quick, find that Q&A again, and I want you to type in, what was the first thought that came to your mind when you saw that video? What was the first thing? Whether it was a feeling, an idea, I don't know, a plan. What came to your mind when you watched that video? Relaxation. I love it. We'll give everybody here about 10 or 15 seconds to answer there. But as with our other videos and digital media, this will be available, not quite yet, but this will be available to you to brand to yourself and add your contact information there to the end. All right, we have luxury, very nice. It made me think of vacation. It made me think of comfort. It made me feel like I was there. You know, the guy's playing golf and he just looks like he's enjoying a day on the golf course. Emily says she wishes I was there. Me too. Carolyn says surfing and beautiful. Absolutely, absolutely. So be thinking about that. What is your goal when you post these media pieces, this content? What is your goal? What are you trying to bring to the viewer? Are you trying to bring an air of luxury, or are you trying to bring an air of vacation, laid back? Are you looking to promote the digital nomad, the working remotely aspect? So just be thinking about that when you may be putting together these pieces on your own, or maybe you're taking what we have and repurposing them to something else that you have an idea to do. So make sure that your communication is coming across clearly to your viewers. Yeah, stress-free lifestyle. Right, I agree, Emily. All right, one more slide here with some other options. So if you'll notice, these are formatted a little bit differently. So the last video was in that landscape portrait. You could put that most places, but look at these two videos. One of them is going to have some natural sounds. The other one's going to have, promotional sounding music behind it. But let's watch them and I'll tell you a little bit more about them and what those are going to be used for. You lost the arrow. There we go. Perfect. So if your mind is jogged right now, so these are specifically made for the Instagram or the Facebook stories that people use to promote, just 15-second clips of whatever it is they're trying to convey to you. And so if you'll notice that the one on the left had the natural sounds, and the one on the right had a more upbeat, kind of a tropical feel to it. Really love the sound of ocean waves. That's why these sound companies and speaker companies have made tons of money off of creating these natural sound tracks, basically. But then other people, they prefer to make their own thoughts, make up their own mind about what it would sound like when they're there. So we put some nice promotional upbeat music in the back and let them come up with their own imagination what that would sound and feel like. So those are going to be some more options that we'll be getting over to you guys, are these to add to your stories. And they're very short, 15 seconds, just to kind of to make that hook, to get you more interested. All right, so we have some people that have an opinion that like the natural sound, and George said that natural is authentic, and it is very authentic, and it almost puts you into the video. So very cool. Ivan, was there anything you wanted to add specifically about the types of content?
No, you did a very good job on that, but let me just go back here a couple of slides. And so, okay, so on this section here, yeah, so like I said, you did a very good job of explaining everything. So for everyone, this is the material that is available. You know, and you guys can use it for, like Ali said, web pages or emails. You know, the choice is yours. But one thing that I did want to point out, remember what I mentioned at the beginning. Content marketing is about consistency. That's one of the main parts of it, right? So notice that these same images, the same colors, the same logos are found throughout, right? You have to be consistent. If someone sees an email from you, okay, well, maybe, you know, I don't want to answer an email. I don't want to click through to a landing page, right? But maybe they would actually click through if they saw you on social media. Not only that, they might remember you. Oh, I got an email from this person, you know, a couple of days ago. Let me check it out. I'm on Instagram. Let me just check it out. You know, the consistency, the prominence of your brand is super, super important. So that's just one thing that I did want to just run back to here. But everything else was spot on, Ali. Great job there. And I'm loving to see the responses and the opinions from everyone. I agree, George, that the more authentic version would hook me for sure. And it does give you that feeling, like Ali mentioned, it's relaxing. It's you know, being stress free, like Emily was saying. It's all these things, and that's the point there. We want to make sure that we're targeting the right people and evoking the right emotion with the pieces that we're producing there. And so next, what we're going to be doing is going over again some helpful tidbits about how to create your first campaign and follow the steps that we've been talking about. And so your campaign timeline, we went over this one in the last presentation. And so I'm guessing some of you are somewhere in the middle of this one here. We should be around the content creation and promotion stage at this point. But this is just an example here of what your campaign timeline should look like. I normally like to do my campaigns for 30 days. When it's just short promotions that we're doing. Of course, when we're talking about larger projects and development, we do those for 60, 90 days at a time. But it is important that you have a timeline set up. You know, when am I going to start, and when does this campaign finish, and when can I start the second one? Again, consistency is key, whether that's consistency in the branding, consistency in the messaging, consistency in the times of day that you're posting. It's all about consistency. You want people to think positively of you, and through your actions you can evoke all of that. Through the imagery you can evoke emotion. Through the way that you carry about the promotions, you can communicate how it is that it'll be like to work with you, or why people should work with you. All of this is super important there. And so the next phase there that we want to look at is, of course, your campaign funnel, so to speak. And notice, like Ali was showing us in different forms of content, the reason why it's important to have it, you know, other than the formatting, other than the consistency there, is again the outreach methods. Different people, different generations, different, you know, different groups use social media, use emails, and use different platforms very differently. You know, for our younger, you know, if some of us that have siblings or children that are in the Gen Z crowd, you know, Facebook is for old people, is what they'll say, and they use it primarily for staying in touch with family, maybe. Whereas their prime, you know, buying platforms are going to be Instagram or TikTok. Now move upwards towards the Gen X and millennials. It's very different, right? We use Facebook for news. You know, we find our information on there, or we use Twitter for news. You know, Instagram is more for following different people that we want to engage with, actors, actresses, you know, artists, the people that we are interested in. You know, and then buying is through specific buying platforms. And you can, you know, there's nuances to all of this. You know, if you go further down, baby boomers have a different strategy as well. They probably do not want to use much digital. You know, they don't want something to look too slick, as our CEO likes to say. They want it authentic. They want it just, you know, give me the bullet points, give me the details, give me what I want to see. You don't need to give me all of this, you know, razzle dazzle flashiness. And so they'll use different platforms, right? Some people don't even want to use digital material. They want that magazine, that hardcover magazine. They want that flyer. They want to be sent monthly mail-in newsletters. And so having your material formatted for each of those different platforms is super important. And so your campaign should be covering all of these bases. You really need to make sure, to Ali's point with her question about which platform works better for you and how you're feeling about it, really make a point to take a look at that, and then make sure that your campaign is following and ticking off all of these boxes. Your social media promotions should be fun, should be engaging, should be very, very just teasing almost. You don't want to have a long post on on Facebook or Instagram. People don't go there for that. They go for the pretty pictures. And so make sure that the documents that you're presenting it's more the image is out there more than anything, right? If they want to see the message, they will click through. But you need to hook them in with that picture. Whereas email newsletters, right? You want to, yes, you do want to have the pretty pictures, you do want to have the branding in there, but the way emails will work is by telling a story through text. You want to tell your story through something handwritten. Maybe you have people that are more visual and they want to read this and then imagine what it's like to be at Grand Pacifica, right? They want to imagine what it's like to be on that beach, enjoy that surf. And then you may have your video in there in that newsletter, right? So you've given them you've stroked their imagination. Now provide them with the material. You're done. You have that hook right there. Paid content, like I mentioned, very important, especially if you're starting off. If this is a new destination, probably people in your audience aren't used to hearing about it. Very important to use paid content because you do want to get, you want to reach out as far as you can. But again, remember, very targeted. Don't just, cast that net out anywhere. You want to make sure that you have a plan. And then your content outreach campaigns, like I said, the campaign as a whole should still be evergreen. It should be reusable at any point. You shouldn't just say, oh, this campaign is done at 30 days and on to the next one. Not necessarily. The first campaign that you started on and the many campaigns that you're going to start and finish, they should be evergreen. You should be able to still have them funneling to you over time. And that's really the idea with content marketing and why that consistency is important. Maybe that first newsletter didn't work. Maybe the second one didn't, the third one didn't, the fourth one didn't, the fifth one didn't. But over time, you're going to have so many different blogs, banners, you're going to have videos, you're going to have all these different things. And little by little, you'll start ranking organically, like I mentioned, by optimizing your website. You're going to get more followers because you're consistent with the material. You're producing beautiful content that people want to see. Over time, someone who's going to hear from you 6 months, 12 months from now, they're going to stumble onto your website, they're going to stumble onto your blog, and they're going to be like, wow, this person, George, has everything I need. Emily has everything I need. Let me just, send them a message and bam, you got yourself another lead. And that's the idea. That's a long-term goal here when it comes to structuring out your campaigns. So just make sure you're hitting these points here to make sure that it is as effective as possible. And so now your funnel needs to look a little bit something like this as well. Your different campaign funnels. Remember, you have your own channel. And what that means is basically what you are producing. And I'll use the example of a website, but channel is really a subjective term. Depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Are you trying to get more people to like you on Facebook? Are you trying to get more people to subscribe to your newsletter? So that can be subjective. It depends on what your ultimate goal is. And it can be all of those things, right? But you have to have your goal very clearly defined for your marketing to work. And so your owned channels should be seeding to your earned channels, right? If the goal here is solely to get eyes on your website, picture that as your own channel, and you're going to be seeding content then to your earned channel. That can be your social media pages. You're going to be providing the same banners and material. A little teaser promo is going to be on social media. That then funnels back to your own channel, right? Integrations with partners, that's us. We are going to be providing you with material, right? So you need to integrate your channels with us, not necessarily by some digital connection, but it's exactly what we're doing right now. We are talking about how to get the material out there, and we're integrating with you on different platforms, social media, whether that's Instagram, email, and different platforms. We're making sure that we have the material ready for you. Your paid channels should also integrate with whatever it is that we're doing. If you'd want to create a specific ad campaign for the tiny homes, for example, right? You can just let Ali know, hey, I really want to push tiny homes. I've been seeing a lot of interest from my people about this. And so I want to make sure that it is very prominent out there. And so we can create that ad campaign for you and make sure that you were touching all the right pieces and all the right places there. And so here is an example, touching base on what Ali mentioned earlier about our Discover Nicaragua email outreach. So I'm going to use email specifically for this one, but we did use various different methods to try to promote this event. But we're going to focus on email just for the simplicity of it. Notice again, branding is clear throughout. This is one email chain that I just trimmed and stitched together here for you guys to be able to see the whole thing. But again, we are capturing you on many different fronts where we have people included on there. Again, very important. Everyone wants to imagine themselves at that location. If you're just going to show an image of a beautiful beach, but there's no one on it, you know, you won't necessarily throw people off, but later on they may ask, well, why isn't anyone on that beach? You know, is there something wrong? Should I not be on that beach? And so you just want to make sure you have people. People are going to just take your content to the next level as well. You want to just have people imagining themselves there, imagining being this person, what life is like for the other person that they're seeing in the content. And so having that imagery is important. We also have our logo that's very prominently displayed. We have the reason that we're contacting them there, Discover Nicaragua tour at Grand Pacifica Resort, right? And then the text that I mentioned, right? You have a story that you're telling. You are informing the reader about what the purpose of this content is. And then of course you have material throughout. You have engaging pieces that talk about the country. And then the colors are consistent throughout. Again, this is a very important piece here, making sure that the branding, the messaging, everything is consistent throughout. And now, ultimately, that funnel is going to lead them somewhere, right? This email isn't going to do the job by itself. This is just one piece in your arsenal, one piece that is comprised of many different pieces, right? We have images, we have links, we have videos, we have text, we have all of that all in one location for one platform. But ultimately, that is going to translate to the bottom of the funnel. And in this case, for us, it would have been to have someone convert from just a subscriber, just a reader, to an actual interested party who wants to come on down for the discovery tour. But again, consistency, same image that they saw in the email, that helps guide them and nurture them. I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but have you ever opened an email and, you know, yeah, the information is great, the image is great, I know who this brand is, but then when you click through to read more or to learn more about the opportunity, it takes you to this completely different website that you just were not expecting. Now, for some of us, that may not be, you know, a deal breaker necessarily, but it does throw subconsciously, it does create a rift there. You no longer, you know, that emotion that you were feeling, the reason that you click through is broken, it's gone. You know, you've shocked someone by having different colors, different images, a different messaging altogether. And so again, this is just an important part of maintaining the consistency there and formatting it to the right platform that it is that you're using. All right, and now lastly, why are your metrics super important? We've gone over so many different forms of content, the structure of your campaign, but I cannot stress it enough, guys. Your metrics are super important. And we're gonna take a look at the same example of the email that I mentioned there for our discovery tour. But here are three main points that you should be looking at. Again, we're talking about email only in this section. And so your traffic, your click-through, and your conversion. Now, here's an example of one of the many emails that we sent out promoting our discovery tour. And so we did an A/B test. We sent two versions of essentially the same email. The imagery was different in one version than the other. The messaging was just a little different in one version than the other. But more importantly, when you're looking at email, I touched on this in the previous session. When you're looking at email, the first thing that you need to optimize down to just this is your subject line. That alone is a make it or break it situation, is looking at your subject line. And so for this email, what we were trying to take a look at is what's going to get people to open the email ultimately, and then of course click through. And that was the important part of doing this test. You know, our research can show that people will transact more when they read something inspirational, right? Like Discover Nicaragua. That sounds beautiful, right? We're going on an expedition. We're going to discover Nicaragua together. Sounds exciting. But some people, that will be like, what do you mean discover Nicaragua? It's been discovered, right? The messaging may not work for them. And so you may want to go with something a bit more direct. Join us for our discovery tour, right? that might be a little bit different and it may work. So that's why it's important to test out your subject lines, because that's what's going to get, again, since we're talking about email, that's what's going to get eyes on your email there. And so this is an example here of what we did with A/B testing. Ultimately, there wasn't much of a difference, but I'm going to guide you guys through what we saw with the different versions here. And again, analyzing the data. This was just over a 24-hour period that we did analysis here, and our system that we use, our CRM, after the 24 hours, it will choose the quote unquote winner of the two versions and send the blast out to the remaining people in our list, based on what the metrics showed there in the first 24 hours. And so taking a look at this one here, notice what we did was, again, the messaging is just about the same. As far as the text is concerned, but we switched out the image as well, because we weren't only looking at the subject line, we were also looking at the click-through rate. That was going to determine which email worked better. I may be of the opinion that more images gets you more attention, gets you more clicks, right? But our research may be showing that nope, people just want the one image. They just want to see the one header at the top. They want a lot of text. Maybe a video, and then just one call to action. Again, important to test out your theories and see what works, what doesn't work. For this example here, we did see just under 14% of an open rate. We did send this to a small group of people since we are testing, but we did see a low conversion rate there for us. Now, looking at version B, notice it is a little bit different. It does have some different imagery, but again, messaging is just about the same. This one saw a little bit of an uptick in the conversion there, but it wasn't too it was marginal. And so ultimately, we determined that the test wasn't all that effective. But and you may be thinking, okay, well then, what do you learn from that? Well, you learn to make them way more distinct, right? And that's what we learned here. We needed to make our messaging much more distinct. We need to make sure that the images were very different. Again, stark contrast. We did it conservatively the first time. Now we need to go all in. And so again, that is the beauty of content marketing and making sure that you are looking at your metrics. It's going to teach you something no matter what. You could be in the business for so many years, but through your metrics, you're going to see what's working. Remember, we're in an evolving world. This time last year, it was a completely different time than it is now. And the year before that, it was a completely different time. And things keep changing, whether that's economically, all things are always changing. It's good to keep up with the times, and the different paradigm shifts that are taking place may change the way people interact with you. So metrics are king. Metrics are important for you to be analyzing at all times. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, that will bring us to the conclusion of this month's content marketing training session. Again, a lot of information was presented, but like Ali said, we will be providing you with all of the material that you saw during this presentation. It's going to give you a full campaign packet. You're going to have the web banners, you're going to have the social media banners. If you need any text that would be helpful for you to craft this email campaign out and have a social media campaign ready to go, we'd be happy to hop on the phone with you, but you will at least have the promotional pieces ready to go. You want to plug that into your website, you want to add that into your social media channels, you guys can go right ahead. But yeah, of course, let us know if you want to have a brainstorming session about how to really knock this one out of the park. And at this point, we're going to open it up to some questions. I did see some coming in there. And all right, let me answer a few of these here. Okay, so Lisa is asking, when you say targeted pay-per-click advertising, does that mean picking products that relate to our content? Indeed. So when we're talking about pay-per-click advertising, yes, you do want to make sure, again, remember what I talked about with SEO. You want to make sure that you are ranking for something relevant. If you are, let's just say, for example, this month we are talking about tiny homes, right? If you want to rank for tiny homes, you could definitely run an ad campaign on that, right? But if that's not something that you're interested in offering, if that's not what your audience is expecting from you, and you just go in and you throw, Argentinian mountain villas, and you start throwing out an ad campaign for that, you may get people that do convert, right? Of course, you're at the top of the search there. you may get people that click through on your ad and go to your website. Well, what's going to happen? They're going to get to your website and they're not going to see what they were expecting. They're going to see something other than that. And what's going to happen? They're going to go back to Google and search again. Your ad at that point did not work. It worked in the sense that it converted. So you know that the message was good, but ultimately you did not deliver the content that they wanted. And so, yeah, you need to make sure that it is the products that relate specifically to what you're offering, to the services that you are offering. You do not want people going to your website and clicking back to Google. You call that a bounce. Whenever someone goes to your website and spends less than 10 seconds on there and clicks the back button to go back to Google, that's a bounce. And that is a negative effect that you will have on your website's performance, and that will just decrease your ranking. Remember what I mentioned about Google and search engines, how they're going to be looking at your ranking. That's exactly what they look at. If someone goes to your website, spends an awful, a really great amount of time there, and clicks through to other pages, that implies that they are interested. And so the algorithm is going to say, hey, person A clicked through to this site, and they went down the funnel, they clicked on more things, they rank well for this keyword, let's show it to more people. In a nutshell, that's how the algorithm works. So again, make sure your messaging is consistent, make sure it is relevant, and make sure that it's going to work for the audience that you have as well. Good clarification there, Lisa. No, she's saying that she thought at first I was referring to putting ads on our website. No, it's ads that will funnel to your website, but on search engines. That's what I was meaning. And you can also do ads on social media, which is another popular one as well. You may not see the same amount of conversion. You'll get a lot more eyes on it for sure, but you won't see the same amount of conversion. Google, Yahoo, Bing, those would be the platforms I would recommend more for running your ad campaigns on. And Dusty, thank you. Thank you so much. Dusty says we did a great job with the presentation here, so thank you. If you guys ever wanna hop on a call and go over how to really structure these things out, we'd be happy to do that for you guys. So yeah, thanks so much, everyone. And
let me just note to you guys that this content that's created, we are testing it on our end as well. But remember that, if any of you guys have seen the iron presentation that Mike does, he talks about the anchovies and offering anchovies at his pizza parlor. So even though you don't think, or you've never heard people in your network express an interest in let's say tiny homes or Nicaragua specifically, you can always kind of start tapping that market to see if there's an interest. And the way to do that, like Ivan mentioned, is not just to throw the tiny homes at them. It's to start soft, start slow with educational content, informational content. Maybe you address the concern of, the civil unrest right off the bat, because there is that preconceived notion about Nicaragua that, there's so much discourse and unsettled happening in Nicaragua. But the truth is that it can be a very pleasant place to be. And especially at Grand Pacifica, kind of away and settled away from the hustle and bustle of city life. So start off and think about that when you're deciding to run campaigns and deciding where to begin. Where do I start? Well, let's start with something that's going to begin to warm up the idea of what it is you're offering. Even if it is the idea of a tiny home, maybe somebody's lived in a 2,500 square foot or 3,000 square foot home their entire lives, and the idea of a tiny home hasn't really been brought to their attention. There's benefits to both. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Ivan's brought some great information to you guys on how to use the marketing. So just be thinking about that from a real estate and an interest perspective, is that sometimes you don't know what your people are looking for, and you don't necessarily have to keep going in that direction. But test it, see what happens. You may find out that you have more tiny home lovers in your network than you thought.
Very, very good point, Ali. And yeah, that again goes back to the metrics, right? Determining what it is that works, what it is that doesn't, and what your next step should be. Very, very, very good point. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead. And
perfect. So we are right up to the.
Oh, there you go.
I think there's a bit of a delay, Ivan, but yeah, we're right at the 5 o'clock hour here, and we are so very thankful that you guys were on today. Like Ivan mentioned, please feel free to reach out and schedule a call with Ivan and I. To talk a little bit more in depth about what you personally want to achieve and how we can work with you to do that. Go to that resource library, go to the resource library. All of the new banners and information that you saw today is being uploaded there as well. But look for that follow-up email from Ivan and I, and that'll be a quick access point for you. But do go in and look through the resource library and let us know how we can support you.
All right, and I'm gonna turn on my video just to say goodbye to everybody. All right, again, thank you so much, everyone, for having joined us. Like Ali said, you know, a lot of material, a lot of information was presented. But again, thank you so much for your time. I know you guys have a lot going on, and we appreciate you guys sitting here with us to grow and learn. And like Ali said, you know, we're testing it out ourselves, right? So we're growing and learning along with you, and we're here for you. So anytime you guys want to have a chat, anytime you guys want to brainstorm, come up with new ideas, we're happy to do that, and we're here for you. So again, thank you so much, everybody. And bye-bye.
One more thing, wait.
Oh, wait, one more.
Next month is Panama. Next month is content marketing in Panama. So be on the lookout for that link to get registered for that webinar series specific to Panama. So thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.